And I hope that's your prayer, that because we are in Christ, everything changes. So this morning we are looking at a series, continuing our series on questions Jesus asked. Jesus asked over 150 questions. He's asked over 100 questions. He only answers 8 that he has asked, and we're going to kind of try to touch all of those together in one group on the end of the series. But we've dealt with the question of faith. Who do you say that I am? You have to know who Jesus Christ is in your own life. We talked about the question of purpose. What if you gain it all? What if you got everything it is that you're pursuing right now? Then what? What's the advantage of it? We talked about the idea of desire. You really want to be healed. I mean, if you really wanted to be healed in that story, your life is going to change, and are you ready for that? We talked about the issue of why are you afraid? You know, what our fears and what we focus on says so much about life and our direction. We talked about the compassion. Do you really see this woman? You really see her? We looked at the question of love. Do you love me? We talked about the question of worry. Can all the things that you're worried about really add a day to anything? I mean, is it really going to make that much difference? And then last week we wrestled with the question of intentionality. What do you really want from life? I mean, really, what are you running after? What's your purpose? What's your goal? This morning we're going to jump right into it. I think the question that we're going to look at this morning, if you can learn to embrace it, it will radically change your life. It will change every relationship you have. So here we go. We're going to jump into it. A dispute arose among them, talking about the disciples, as to which of them was considered to be the greatest. And Jesus said unto them, the kings and the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who exercise authority over them call themselves benefactors. But you're not to be like that. Instead, the greatest among you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves. And then here's our question. Who's greater? The one who's at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who's at the table? I mean, the culture said that the most important person at the meal was the person who was at the head of the table. Is it that the most important person? And Jesus said, I'm among you as the one who serves. In other words, Jesus spins this thing on them. And he says, look, your culture says the most important people are at the top. If that's really true in my kingdom, why am I here serving you? Because Jesus is going to flip this thing on the end. And you're going to see this. We're going to look at it in a number of places in the life of Jesus, where he's continually driving this home. And then we're going to talk about how it impacts our lives and the way we function throughout the week. Listen to what he says in Matthew. But many who are first will be last, and many who are last will be first. I mean, our culture says, get to the front of the line. Our culture says, you know, you want to be first, you want to be first, you want to be first, you want to be the best, you want to be the best, you want to be the best. What I'm here to say is, you know what? It's not about being first. The first shall be last, the last shall be first. Listen to this idea as Jesus kind of walks through this concept, because it's probably been 10, 15 years now. I preached a series of messages on paradoxes in the Bible. And, a paradox is something that seems to be true, seems not to be true, but is actually true. And the paradox in the life of Jesus, one of the great paradoxes, is the idea of the way up is down. That's basically what we're going to talk about this morning. You really want to make your life count? It's not about what you get. It's about what you give. It's about changing it up in your thinking. So Jesus in his ministry talks a whole lot about being a servant. And that's what we want to wrestle with this morning. Who's the greatest? The one who serves. And we want to look at our lives this week and we want to ask ourselves this: am I really being a servant? There's a number of things that are involved in being a servant, and you see it in the life of Christ. All right? So let's run through them. First thing is this: it's this idea. Being a servant means you have to be willing to serve. That's the first foundation for it. Here's the way Jesus said it. Not so with you. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Whoever wants to be first has to be a slave of all. And then notice what Jesus says. Even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. Jesus made as a foundational point of why he was here to serve. He wasn't here for him. He was here for us. And he says, look, if that's the principle of Jesus Christ, and you call yourself a Christ follower or a disciple of Christ or a Christian, one who is like Christ, you want to know what one of the first foundational principles of our lives have to be? We're here to serve. It's not about us. Now listen, we're in a culture which screams anything but that message. I mean, look, we just elected a president based on this principle: America first. And I'm not getting into the politics thing. I'm not saying that was wrong, but I'm saying that's our culture. McDonald's, you want to know what one of their foundational advertisements was? You deserve a break today. Excuse me? Why do I deserve a break? Why? Well, because we're here for you. It's all about you. We have a whole world built about us. I mean, be authentic. This is, kids, this is what you're hearing in school and in your culture. You be the authentic you. It's about you. If you're going to be a servant, you have to be willing to serve. And Jesus came to this earth with a foundational principle that said, I'm not here to be served. I'm here to serve. That's the first thing that we have to do. The second idea is this. You find it in John chapter 13. It's this incredible humility. And the story in John chapter 13 is simply this. They're all sitting together at lunch. Now, you have to understand, in this culture, we're going to go have potluck today, okay? Potluck's going to be like this. You're going to go in there, you're going to sit down at a table. That wasn't the way it worked in this culture. The tables usually were like this high off the ground. So what you did is you reclined, if you will, on the floor. You got down on the floor. You would usually lean on your elbow, and your plate would be right here, and your feet would be sticking out that way. Dirty, nasty, stinking feet. This was a culture, they wore sandals. It's really dusty. It's really nasty. You could not ask someone, if you had a whole bunch of house slaves, for instance, you were not allowed to ask your house slaves to wash the feet of the people who were visiting your house. It's like me. I've lived in the country long enough. The first thing I do when I walk into somebody's house is I take off my shoes. It's just habit. I have people go, oh, you don't have to take off your shoes. No, I have to take off my shoes. I've walked into your house. It's a habit for me. Just a routine. In fact, it's a horrible day because I have to wear socks on that day. But anyway, so I just take off my shoes. That's just the thing. In that culture, they didn't do that. They sandals, barefoot. Dirty, nasty thing. You couldn't look at your slaves and go, okay, you know what? I got guests coming over and need you to wash all their feet. That was an incredibly humbling thing. So if somebody did that to you, that was an incredible honor. So they're all sitting there, and Jesus is sitting at the table, and he's looking at his disciples, and he gets up, he takes a basin, and he starts going around, and he starts washing everybody's feet. God did that. God washed feet. Notice what he said. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should also wash one another's feet. I have set an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is the messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you'll be blessed if you do them. Jesus looked at these guys and he said, you want to know what you need to do? You need to be willing to wash each other's feet. He said, not only do you have to be a servant, but you have to be a humble servant. You have to humble yourselves, in fact, to the point that you say, I'll do whatever needs to be done. I'm not too good for that. That's not something that I refuse to do. When you get to the point that you refuse to do something, that should tell you something about your mindset. I've always said, the day that I can't clean a toilet in this place is the day you need to fire me. If I'm too good to clean a toilet, then there's no way in the world I should be standing up here preaching. There has to be a humility that says, you know what? I am willing to do whatever I need to do to serve and to minister to other people. That's what Jesus is saying. Probably the greatest passage in the New Testament which explains this is in Philippians chapter 2. Wait a minute. Did I not get there? Hang on. Here we are. I'll go back. In your relationships with one another. He says, you want to know how you treat each other? Here's how you treat each other. Have the same mindset as Jesus Christ Jesus. Who being in the very nature of God, in other words, he was God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. In other words, here's what it's saying. God didn't sit up in heaven and say, I'm too good to go down there for those people. I kind of like this worship thing. I'm just going to stay here and let everybody worship me. I don't want to leave this. This is awesome. This is creation. I'm in fellowship with my creation. I don't want to leave this. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. He decided to take the Godhead, and we're going to be, next series we're going to talk about the magnitude of God. But he decided not to hang on to this thing, but instead he said, I'm going to wrap human flesh around God. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself. And he became obedient to death, even the death of the cross. God, who was eternal, who had no beginning and no end, was actually going to die. Wrap your head around that one for a while. He was going to submit himself to a physical, bodily death for you and for me. He goes on to say this, therefore God exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name. That the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and earth and under the earth. That every tongue should acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord to the glory of God the Father. Because he was willing to do that, the first shall be last, the last shall be first. Because he was willing to serve, he was honored. And he became the master. And he says, and so as we look at it from the book of Philippians, it's the idea that that is what Jesus Christ was willing to do. He was willing to do that and humble himself for us. And I got to go back now because I got my slides in the wrong order. Here's what it says, Mark 8. He called the crowd along with the disciples and said, whoever wants to be my disciple has to deny themselves. Humility. Take up the cross and follow me. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it. Whoever wants to lose their life for my sake and the gospel will save it. You really want to find purpose and meaning in your life? Give it away. Don't hoard it. Don't make it all about you. Don't embrace everything that becomes about you and what you want to do and everything. No, you give your life to other people. You give your life to serve God in whatever that he has for you. So let's get to the practical thing this morning to help us, okay? Here's a question this morning. What's your attitude toward serving? What's your attitude? How do you look at the things that are involved in your life and whether or not you're too good to do it? Again, I want to be as practical as I can be right here. Let's be practical. I'm going to Sam's. I get out of my car. You want to know what my practice is? I go to the cart corral. I pull a cart out. I take it in the store. Oh, Pastor, they got people to do that. Really? Why can't I do that? See, my kid's first job was a cart wrangler at Menards. I used to watch him when he'd all bundle up in the winter to have to go push carts in the snow so that people had carts when they went into the store. It's really easy for me to walk over and grab a cart and walk in the store with it. I've also found this, those of you who are older, it helps you to hold on to something when you walk in the store. It's like a big fancy walker with wheels. Why can't you do that? Well, if I start doing that, those people aren't going to have a job. Trust me, there's enough selfish people that leave those carts all over the parking lot anywhere. They will always have a job. What's your mindset? You're talking to a cashier. What's your mindset? Is she there to serve you, or are you there to serve her? Tell me, how was your day? Is this beginning shift into your shift? Why not try to serve and minister to the very people that are serving and ministering to you? You go to a restaurant. Would you really want to deal, first of all, anybody who has to deal with the public should get a pin that says, combat veteran. Because they have dealt with the public. So why not make their day a little better? Are you there for you? For them to wait? Do you know how long? Can you scan those items any slower? No. Shoot, when I get ready to go into the cart, you know what I try to do? I don't. First of all, I do self-checkout, and I'm just a big fan of that. But anyway, if I do have to go through the line, you know what I do? I try to line up the UPC codes so that they can scan them easy. Oh, Pastor, that just sounds like that's way too much work. Are you there for you, or are you there for them? You see, this is a different mindset. And one of the things that you and I have to do is that we have to ask ourselves, what is our attitude towards stuff like that? What is our attitude when people mess up trying to serve us? My wife was interesting yesterday, so this is our mindset. This is where we are as a culture. My wife and I are standing. We have 2 coffee machines. One makes a fancier coffee. One makes kind of a regular fancy coffee. She likes one. I like the other one. And she's standing there, and we're actually talking about how long it's taking. And I looked at her and I said, do you know that back in the old days, we'd actually have to put a pot on a stove and heat it all up and do all this? I said, right now we pick a flavor and punch a button. But again, that's our culture. We're just so used to this. We just get so used to this thing being all about us. So here's my question. What's your attitude towards serving? Second question for you is this. Are you really willing to sacrifice? I deal with people all the time. It's like, you know what, Pastor? I'd become a Christian, but you don't understand. It's just going to be there's going to be so much that I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose friends, and we've always done this, we've always done that. what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to give up? Because you see, you have a Savior who was willing to step aside and wrap himself in human flesh and be, again, there's so many concepts of God that are just amazing. God who is above time steps into time and is now delimited by time and living a physical life. God who has never slept is now sleeping. God who has never eaten is now hungry. I mean, there are so many things that he had to experience for us because he loved us and he wanted to sacrifice for us. And for you and I to sit back and go, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm too good for that. Who do you think you are? Who do I think I am when I have that kind of mindset? And so this is what Jesus is saying. He's going through this thing and going, one of the questions you have to ask yourself, are you willing? And he says this, look, if you're going to follow me, are you willing to count the cost? Deny yourself, take up your cross, follow me. It's one of the questions we have to wrestle with. And I think sometimes we get this mindset that it is all about us. And what I would suggest to you is it takes a humility to be able to say, I am willing to engage with that cashier, take that card in, talk to those people that are serving. But the bottom line is so many times we get so focused on ourselves and we make it about us. I want to try to help you understand this morning. It will literally change your life if you can start to develop a servant mindset in everything you do. I saw this last night. We had the family thing. There was a lot of debate when we talked about this as a board because, first of all, I don't do things on Saturday night, so that was a big commitment on my part. Secondly, I was worried because we got to clean this place up. Our cleaning gal, she comes in, gets it all clean for Sunday, do it on Saturday night. I can't ask her to come in at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, clean it all up. So, I told her, I said, look, you clean it up before, we'll clean it up afterwards. So if you were in this building at 7 o'clock last night, let me just describe it to you. Okay? The kitchen looked like, and we had people cleaning it up all along tonight, but still, at the end of the night, it looked like Hy-Vee had exploded. I mean, there's food everywhere. We had so much food here last night. The whole area out there, the Mr. Potato Head table looked like, we got little body parts all over the floor. We've got games everywhere. The whole place just looked like a bomb had gone off at 7 o'clock. By 7:30, 7:40, it was all set for Sunday. We didn't have a crew. We weren't running around telling everybody what they needed to do. Just people saw something, went and did it. Somebody saw something, went and did it. Something. We had guys getting out. We had guys vacuuming. There's guys, not the gals. We had guys vacuuming yesterday. Everybody just would find something and do it. We had a whole bunch of people just saying, you know what, how can I serve? How can I help? I'm going to do it. And it all got done. So it was an amazing thing. And I've been fortunate that that's what we have in this church. What I'm trying to get you to do, though, is to do it all the way across the board in your life. So let's talk about it practically. How do you serve your spouse? You want to know what I hear? You want to know when your marriage is in trouble? Here's a big red flag. When you start saying, my spouse is not meeting my needs, you're in trouble. Because you know what you have done in your marriage? You have made it about you. Your goal, and I tell couples, we go through 4 to 5 sessions of marriage counseling before I marry a couple. And I started out by saying this, you know what, we're going to spend a lot of time here talking about marriage. I'm going to give you a lot of tools and all that kind of stuff, but let me make this really simple for you. 2 things. Outlove your spouse and outserve your spouse. You'll have a great marriage. Give me 2 people who outlove and outserve each other, you'll have a great marriage. Is it really that simple? I didn't say it was easy, but it is that simple. You outlove and outserve your spouse. So here's my question to you. How are you going to serve your spouse this week? What are you going to do for your spouse? And again, I'm going to step on toes, but you know what that means? Let me tell you what that means. You load and unload the dishwasher. You wash dishes or dry dishes. You put dishes away. Guys, you find the laundry hamper, which is somewhere in the house, and you actually put your clothes in it. Or better yet, you wash your own clothes. Now, word of wisdom, 40 some odd years of experience. You do not wash her clothes. You wash your clothes, okay? Don't ask me how I know this, okay? You take out the trash without being asked. You do things. Listen, you look for ways to serve your spouse. Once in a while, I don't do this every week. Once in a while, you know what I'll do? My wife is fanatical about her car being washed. She is over the top. She vacuums her car every week. She takes it and gets it washed every week. Once in a while, if I notice, it's not often, but if I notice her car's a little more dirty than usual, I'll grab her keys. I'll grab her extra set of keys. When I go to town, I'll jump into her car. I'll take it to the car wash. I'll gas it up. And then when she gets out of school, she's got a car that's clean and gassed up. Why? I love her. It's a way I can serve her. Friday, because I knew I was preaching on this, I drove all the way to Lamar's to get her dinner for Friday night because we have a restaurant up there, Iowa barbecue that we love. I drove all the way up, and in fact, because I met somebody up there, I had a meeting up there too that I said, hey, I'm going to be in Lamar's. The guy goes, why are you in Lamar's? I said, I'm buying my wife dinner. It was great because he's another pastor. I looked awesome. So much for the humility part of it. But I mean, seriously, it's one of those things where, you look for ways to outlove and outserve your spouse. You look for ways at work to serve somebody. Maybe you bring a coffee in for them. Maybe you bring them lunch. Maybe you go out, I remember when I was working at the nursing home, we had somebody was having a really tough time financially. And I watched some of the administrative staff get together, went out and bought them groceries. When they got off of their shift, they got into their car and it was full of groceries. Look, you can do things to help other people. You can do things to serve a neighbor. Maybe they're having a tough time. Maybe they need to go out, maybe, I don't know, maybe they need their bushes, all the bushes and hedges around their house trimmed. And you have the opportunity to do that. Go do it. Serve the people that God has put into your world. In church, look, this will revolutionize how you come to church. You know how most people come to church? You know why most people come? For what they're going to get. Well, I hope that young guy's preaching because he's so much better than that old guy. We got the B guy up there this week, It's about what I'm going to get out of church. Most people, what happens is they start choosing churches that way. Oh, you know what? This is the music that I want for me. This is what I want for me. It's all about me. It's all about, they have this program for me. And I'm not against any of that, but what I'm saying is when you come to church for that reason, what happens? It's all about you. You walk in here and your attitude is this. Who is there that I can pray for, encourage, help, be a blessing to this week? I'm in here with my spidey senses up, looking for people that I can help and encourage and be a blessing to today. I guarantee you, you will get plenty out of church when you come to church with that mindset. And you start realizing that there are other people that you can minister to when you're here. Listen, this is so important with little kids. You will make the week of some of these kids by paying attention to them. And saying, you know what? Hey, I noticed you up there on Children's Service. Tell me about it. How was your week this week? You know what's amazing? You do it enough. You know what happens to these kids? They start coming in and asking about your week. You don't think that will blow your socks off when you come to church and you have a 8-year-old come up and say, hey, how was your week this week? I was thinking about you. Not about you. Because when Jesus came to this earth, it wasn't about him. So when he looks at his disciples and he says, tell me, guys, who's really the greatest? The person at the head of the table or the person who serves? Because Jesus is looking for people who will serve and who will minister to the people that God puts in their world. And I can't tell you how important this is in all that you do. Those of you who are going to school this week, kids, listen to me for a minute. You find that kid that you can encourage. Moms and dads, have you ever thought about this? You have teachers and you have administrative staff and you have people who are pouring into your kids all week long. Have you ever thought about getting together as a family and saying, you know what, I want you to take this to your teacher and tell your teacher, this is from our family. We appreciate the job they're doing. And let me just, again, I know you mean well. Don't give them a coffee cup and don't give them an apple. Okay? Give them something else. I say that after 40 years of being with a teacher. We got more coffee cups than apples than you can imagine. But you find a way. You find a way to let them know, look, we want to serve you, we want to honor you, and it doesn't have to be Teacher Appreciation Week for us to do it. There are so many people that you and I can encourage and help and be a blessing to, but it starts with us changing the way we look at life, and life can't be about us. That's what Jesus said. Want to know who's greatest? Tell me who's serving. Those are the people who are like me. So I end with this morning. Jesus asked who's greater. To genuinely be like Jesus, we've got to learn to serve others like Jesus did. His ultimate goal was to please the Father by giving his life for ours. God challenges each of us to serve one another this week. So find someone you can serve and minister to as you go about your week. Let's pray. Lord, help us. It's so easy in this world to focus on what we want, on what we need, on things that make our lives better. So Lord, please help us not to get caught up in that. As we go throughout this week, would you open our eyes to different ways, to different things that we can do to be a blessing and encouragement and help to the people that you've called us to be around. And use us, Lord. So most importantly, as people see what we do, they would see who we have a relationship with. And they would understand, Lord, that the reason we do what we do is because we have a relationship with you. So help us to do that this week. These things we ask in your name.